Gateshead Council are committed to the contribution volunteers make to organisations and individuals living throughout the borough. This film highlights Healthwatch and the value of organisations and their volunteers in the health and social care sector.
Gateshead believes passionately that people who volunteer, the communities in which people volunteer, are healthier, more content communities. It benefits the individual, but it also benefits the community. So by increasing the number of volunteers, we're making better health for individuals and healthier communities.
As part of my duties, I sit on the Health and Wellbeing Board, along with various organisations like Healthwatch. Healthwatch have an input direct into all the health professionals, senior directors here and senior directors from health.
Healthwatch Gateshead began on the 1st of April in Gateshead and is part of the larger Healthwatch England network. Our aim is to provide a route for Gateshead residents to have direct access to commissioners to influence their services with regards to health and social care. We do this through a number of outreach venues. We have a signpost and information service as well, so members of the public can contact ourselves to get up-to-date information on health and social care services in Gateshead. Healthwatch Gateshead couldn't do its role, fulfil its function without volunteers.
GVOC exists to support voluntary action and volunteering within the borough of Gateshead. There's two big aspects to our work. One is trying to ensure that the voluntary sector has a voice in all the different forums, networks that go on in Gateshead, and try to influence policy. And a big one that we try and influence is health and social care.
Volunteer to help others.
Our main aims and objectives are to reduce suicide and to allow people the space to be able to talk about and discuss their worries and their concerns in a confidential manner.
To me, volunteering and helping, one day I'll be old, and I just hope that there's young people around there that would help me when I have the problem with arthritis and I can't walk anyway. This is why I'm doing it. I just get such a lot of pleasure out of it, and I've made some brilliant friends through it.
Well, a personal benefit to me is by helping out these people that I know it does me good as well. Because, as I say, otherwise I'd just be sitting in the house, doing nothing at the moment. So it gives me good satisfaction knowing that I'm helping other people. That one day I might need the help from people like myself, you know. And I'm not getting any younger, so there'll be a coming time when I need one of the day centres and help somebody come and help me out.
Anybody volunteering is doing themselves the world of good, because if they've been unemployed or if they've had a long-term health problem and they're trying to find their way back into becoming an active member of the civic society, this is always going to be good for their mental health, for their physical health.
Volunteer to gain valuable work experience.
Greatly recommend volunteering for any walk of life, anybody, because it's just a perfect way of developing yourself. And in the sake of the police force, it's brilliant to almost get a sort of taster of the job before you go and commit.
It'll give me a distinct advantage really, because I'll know and I'll have the experience, which is very important these days.
I'm doing volunteering because I'm looking for some experience, because I'm unemployed and looking for work, and I'm finding it hard looking for work without experience.
Volunteer to increase confidence and mental well-being.
Before I did this, I had no confidence. Couldn't even answer the telephone at home sometimes without panicking a little bit, but now slowly getting my confidence up and I'm picking up the phone when I need to.
We all share each other's fun, we have a great time, and not to have that would be devastating for me.
Volunteer to keep fit and healthy.
I like the outdoors, and I feel trapped when I'm indoors. And that, and as I say, being outdoors, fresh air, exercise.
I would advise to keep fit, and this is exactly the way to do it. You go out now, everything costs you money. You go to the baths, it costs you money. You go to museums, it costs you money. Everything costs you money. This, look around you, costs you nothing. It's got to be maintained. Get involved, get active, keep fit. It's free.
The King's Fund report estimates, and really it is only an estimate, that essentially the volunteering population in healthcare and social care is roughly equivalent to the paid employees in healthcare and social care. Some, probably about 3 million people nationally who volunteer in healthcare and social care. One of the things that we're going to be looking at in Healthwatch is about looking at, in Gateshead, how the various providers of healthcare and social care are using volunteers, and to encourage a strategic approach and to find aspects of best practice, both within Gateshead and nationally, that we can introduce into the borough. This is really important because increasingly we're living in an age where there just aren't enough funds within local authorities and within the health service to do everything that people would want to do as well as they would want to do it. And volunteers can add a veneer of personal service and personal care that often statutory services can't provide.
Volunteer to help organisations deliver services.
If it wasn't for the volunteers, the organisation would fail, big style. But, I've 120 older people that would have nowhere to go. They're dedicated, they're really dedicated people that do a really good job, and they're here for the right reasons. They are here for the older people and do a long day to put smiles on their faces.
We can't really operate without our volunteers as a dedicated task force, trained to carry out a whole range of tasks on countryside sites and nature reserves, really work that we wouldn't be able to carry out otherwise. You don't need any training to take part, but we do offer training. So volunteers have been training, and they know how to, for instance, lay hedges, and carry out wildlife surveys, and basically there are also our eyes and ears on the ground. They're sort of out and about, collecting a huge amount of litter from sites that wouldn't normally get litter picked, and making a tremendous difference to the environment of the borough and improving it for people and for wildlife.
We rely a lot on the volunteers. Everything we do here we couldn't do without the volunteers.
Volunteer to share personal experiences.
Aid UK more or less saved my life. I've been a volunteer now for 9 years. I started off on the bereavement. I did a course, I'm a bereavement listener, and I'm also on the other side a client. I was bereaved myself. My husband died when he was 50, and of course I was going through all the bereavement process, wouldn't get out of bed or anything. And then one day I saw a little advert in the free newspaper. They were looking for bereavement listeners. So I thought I could do that. And I did, and I had an interview with Val, and that's how I started. And it brought me out of my depression. It helped me with my bereavement. And now I feel as though I can help others because I have been through it.
One of the main reasons why I volunteer is I have a hearing loss myself. Although I've been deaf from birth, I do appreciate that there's a lot of people out there who become deafened and that consequently have to wear a hearing aid.
Volunteers are in a position to help with the social inclusion of people who are receiving services.
Volunteer to develop new interests and social interactions.
Part of the idea behind SIGN, which I liked, was the fact it was social inclusion. They wanted to encourage people to come up, get the benefit of the fresh air, enjoy the gardens, any gardening they wanted to do, and also talk to each other.
I heard about Age UK wanting drivers, so I thought, well, I'd like to help the elderly because, I mean, for what they did during the war and whatever, they're my heroes, I'll be honest, quite honest. So I really enjoy doing that. And as I say, a lot of the older people, sometimes they can't get out, so they come to the day centres, which helps them out.
We transport older people in who are socially isolated and living in their own homes, so they need transport to get to these groups. They have their lunch here and they go home happy at the end of the afternoon, and that's the point of what I do.
It's a positive thing to do, and it can help you feel happy that you've achieved something. If you can't achieve things by yourself, you can achieve things in groups. And that's one of the benefits of organisations and volunteering, is you can be part of a group and achieve more that way.
We can provide a useful service in terms of actually suggesting to local groups, if they're looking at some services that they want in their area, about who they would best need to talk to, what kind of a case they would need to put.
We have the volunteer centre here, and we really are the people who know the most about good practice volunteering, about advising people on volunteering, on how you use the Do It national database, and all these things that are part of the infrastructure of volunteering. We know an awful lot about it, and we provide training in volunteering management and volunteer expenses and all the bits and pieces that make up using a volunteer effectively.
Volunteer to inspire others.
Teaching qualification, it was to do with the level 3 of parent to teach in the lifelong learning sector. It's to get involved with me going along on the Wednesday night, doing that course for 14 weeks. You name it. It was a lot of assignments, a lot of homework, and I know apart from that I had help and support with that. But apart from that, it gives me an opportunity to get out there and volunteer and teach and train as a trainer. It makes me proud. It makes me have a commitment to myself. And it makes me independent, because I have to be independent on the petals course.
There's something everybody can do to volunteer and to sort of play a role in the community. I think it can be really different for different people, but there are so many opportunities, and if you're willing to go out of your way to volunteer, people are going to be really accommodating. So if there's just something you fancy helping with, like, it doesn't have to be structured, you don't have to be in like a volunteer position. Like, there's nothing wrong with going and helping somebody out with their allotment, and that's volunteering as well.
Volunteer to gain a qualification.
So I've got my NVQ level 1 in business administration, which I did through college. I'm hoping to get my level 2 through SIGHT.
The people that started out in the cafe, they didn't have any qualifications and they weren't confident speaking to other people, but by working in the cafe, they did like food hygiene certificate, and they got experience serving customers and making change and all those things, and they benefited from doing those things and learning those skills, which they can take away with them.
I've had the chance to go on a lot of courses, an NVQ level 2 in counselling. I took that certificate quite a few years ago.
We've had a number of events, including the Volunteer Month and the events in Saltwell Park, and we are going through a thorough review at the present time, both with our relationship with the CVS and in terms of how we enhance our role in improving volunteering.
We're here at Volunteers Live. It's an event organised by Gateshead Council and various voluntary organisations. Basically what we're trying to do here is celebrate all the volunteering that already exists in Gateshead. We know that 34% of our residents already volunteer, and we're celebrating that and also trying to get members of the public who perhaps don't volunteer interested in opportunities. We've got 20 stall holders from various voluntary organisations across the borough here in the park today who are talking to residents about opportunities that they might be interested in. So celebrating volunteering, but also trying to raise its profile and get a few more people signed up as well. People who volunteer in Gateshead and people who give up their valuable time really benefit the communities in which they live. There's a kind of whole wealth of different opportunities available for people that volunteer. You have countryside rangers who are going out there making a difference to the natural habitat, the natural sort of green areas of Gateshead. There's people who volunteer in health and social care roles, charities, all these organisations that are really dependent on people giving up their time, being generous with their time and the skills that they can bring to these organisations. So the benefits really are kind of massive for Gateshead and its communities as a whole.
Volunteer to develop new interests and social interactions. Volunteer to gain a qualification. Volunteer to gain valuable work experience. Volunteer to help organisations deliver services. Volunteer to help others. Volunteer to increase confidence and mental well-being. Volunteer to inspire others. Volunteer to keep fit and healthy. Volunteer to share personal experiences. Gateshead Council recognises the valuable contribution volunteers make in improving our local communities. If you would like to volunteer or ask for further information, then please contact Kate Marshall. Email address katemarshall@gateshead.gov.uk. Telephone 0191 433 3255. Or Helen Gaffney. Email address helengaffney@gateshead.gov.uk. Telephone 0191 433 2416.